Which is ironic, because that's what we're all here doing right now, isn't it? We're engaging in a very time-honoured debate of just asking ourselves, what might the future look like? And if we look back in the past and assess how people have predicted the present, you know what, they haven't got it very right. How long will it be before we travel by rocket airline? And we're still asking that question in a certain way, aren't we? We get it close. We get it close. But there's always differences. And even experts will get it wrong. I think the device is inherently of no value to us. Who said that and about what? That was Western Union's opinion of Alexander Graham Bell's telephone in 1876, a device we're sure we can all agree, particularly in this room, has been of some value in the intervening years. That was not a lone voice shouting in the wilderness. The Americans have need of a telephone, but we do not. We have plenty of messenger boys. The thoughts of Sir William Preece, chief engineer of Britain's General Post Office in the same year. And Walter told us yesterday that AT&T didn't go into mobiles. Do you know why? Because their consultancy firm, McKinsey, recommended that it was a fad, it would pass, it would have no lasting impact on society. I think there was a world market for maybe 5 computers. That's Thomas Watson Jr., head of IBM at the time. 640K ought to be enough for anybody. That's Bill Gates in 1981. And I don't put these quotations up to laugh at these individuals. Imagine someone had come up to you 10 months ago and said that by the end of this year, maybe, possibly, because we don't know yet, but maybe, possibly, the people of the Arab dictatorships would have overthrown their governments en masse, not just in one country, but several, and would have some sort of chance of self-determination. If you're sitting there thinking, you know what, I think I probably would have predicted that, please tell me honestly, if I'd come up to you in April 2008 and told you that by the end of that year, Britain's banking system would be semi-nationalised, what would you have said to me? You'd have thought I was crazy. If you're still not convinced, please, if I'd whispered in your ear on that day when he made that speech that the next president of the United States would be the son of a Muslim called Obama, you'd have thought I was mental. We can't predict the future. That is the fact. So we do try and control things. And as much as I'm on a rant here, of course it's good that we predict the future, and it's good that we do try and control things, because the future is uncertain, and we do need to try and minimise danger and maximise the chance of us having a long and productive lifestyle. But we've gone too far with this. I do hope there's no one here from the room right now in the health and safety arena. I'd like to make it perfectly clear that these laws were incredibly important 130 years ago. They saved hundreds of thousands, millions of lives around the world, but they've gone too far, haven't they, ladies and gentlemen? On the altar of uncertainty, we are banning everything. Everything is banned in this location. Having an umbrella is banned. Leaning against a wall is banned. That's the same sort of sentiment. It's just put in different language. This is a scary sort of sign. This would stop me from transgressing the given path. But I'm not sure that's altogether necessary. This is probably a very unnecessary sign. This sign has sharp edges. Do not touch the edges of this sign. Also, the bridge is out ahead. That's probably an unnecessary sign. That's an unnecessary sign, in my opinion. I've never tried that. I've never tried half the things on there. It's probably an unnecessary sign. That is probably an unnecessary sign. No one's going to try and do that. And you can't write this next one, caution surface is hot. And there it is again in Braille, ladies and gentlemen. In Braille. Just for the benefit of... It's going a little bit too far. We need to be free to explore things. We need to take risks. Children are growing up obese because they're not allowed to play outside. They're not immune to the diseases that we all caught as we wandered through the forests and came back muddy and dirty because we're not allowed to take risks. Those are the things that we do in the face of this uncertainty. What should we do? Last couple of minutes, my personal plea. The first thing that we should do, ladies and gentlemen, is that you should use a different language to describe this uncertain future. A language which actively embraces the uncertainty and stops conning ourselves into thinking that we know what the future is going to be because we're an expert and we've studied this. Let me explain what I mean by that. Many years ago in Renaissance Italy, this man, Filippo Brunelleschi, created a new way of representing the world. A long time before Brunelleschi, the Egyptians, for example, had no idea what perspective was. Therefore, they couldn't represent 3 dimensions in 2 dimensions. Now, there was a very crude way of representing this before Filippo Brunelleschi came along, but what he did was he gave it a mathematical basis. He designed a way, a method, which I'm sure Carlos is a big fan of representing 3 dimensions in 2 dimensions. And you would think it was absolutely crazy, wouldn't you? If someone tried to represent a 3-dimensional space in 2 dimensions without using now, unless for very good reasons, the formalities of perspective. It's a protocol which we've all adopted, although sometimes it's a little bit difficult to learn. So with that in mind, it is significant that another guy, about 100 years after Brunelleschi, this guy, Geronimo Cardano, also a Renaissance man in Italy, developed a new way of expressing the future, given the limited terms that we have, i.e. language. He built on the fractions mathematics of the Hindu mathematicians, and he created the concept of probability, which was taken further by Fermat and Pascal, and a great deal further in advance today. We had a concept of probability before Cardano. We knew that when you rolled dice, which obviously civilizations have been doing for hundreds, thousands of years previously, that it wasn't always going to be 6 and it wasn't always going to be 3. But right now we have a very sophisticated way of talking about this uncertain future by using the language of probability. And I would implore us to start doing that ourselves personally. When we think about our own personal futures, when we're talking about any possible future in this world, let's start using the language of probability to say, you know what, it's not definitely going to happen, and it's not definitely not going to happen. It's just one of many different futures that could happen to which I'm applying a probability. I know it's frustrating. I know when these guys now say, tomorrow there's a 30% chance of rain, you sit there and you just think to yourself, what the shit am I supposed to do with that? Go to the beach for 30% of the day, wear 30% of my trunks? It's not helpful to me. I want to know whether it's going to rain or not. But they say that because that is all they can say, and actually they know that. And they're trying gently, slowly, to get us to adopt that new language, that new way of thinking about the world. Embrace the madness. Embrace the uncertainty. Yes, right down at the bottom of our pyramid of needs is a need for certainty, is a need to know what tomorrow brings. We need that, no doubt about it. But right at the top of that pyramid, ladies and gentlemen, is the need for self-actualization. The need to fulfill our very brief time on this planet. And the way that we get that is by jumping out of the airplane, going for the promotion, setting up our company, writing that damn book. We get it by going on a journey and embracing uncertainty, and by rising to the challenge that it gives us, fulfilling our own sense of purpose. Yes, Gilbert is right. We spend all our lives at a subconscious level thinking about the uncertainties of the future. But you know what? We've done it until now, and we're pretty damn good at it. Imagine a world for a moment, just for a moment, where the next 5 minutes, the next 5 weeks, the next 5 years, 50 years on this planet is certain. You know exactly what you're going to have for lunch, and exactly how it'll taste, and exactly what emotion you'll get from it. You know exactly who's going to call today. You know exactly what they're going to say. You know exactly what you're going to get done. You know exactly how well your business is going to do. You know exactly how much you're going to sell it for, and you know exactly where you're going to end up at the end of your brief time on this planet. That's a very boring world. In fact, you might say, it is only because tomorrow is uncertain that today has any meaning at all. And I'm going to stop speaking, pause for a moment, and thank you all for your time.